there's a lot of people inside the freedom movement that are really taking control of their health now, but birth seems to bypass them. But you don't know what you don't know. If you assume birth is a medical pathologized procedure, then yeah, you'll hand it over. You just don't know what you don't know. Babies are made in love and should be born in love, but our children are being born into a sea of cortisol and adrenaline rather than oxytocin. And there's so much fear. Everything is fear, 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 and more fear. And that the system is based around fear of litigation, fear of getting it wrong. But no matter what system you're looking at, it all starts, the grassroots issue is all the same. We have forgotten who we are at our core, our authenticity, our divine connection with ourselves, and that we're all one. But we have this separation. We think we're separate from each other. Yeah, I know we're in different bodies, but we're one consciousness.
Yeah.
And it just perpetuates this, the cognitive dissonance, the separation. The powers that be must be laughing because we're all arguing amongst each other. They don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
We're just shouting at each other, but we're all connected. We just need to have an open dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it also goes back to the fact that, and again, this is something that the last 4 years really illustrated, in a big way, is that we just give our powers over to whoever we think the authority figure is. And in this case, it's medical staff. And it's like, tell me what to do, rather than, actually taking your own responsibility. And when you get pregnant, it's like, okay, so let me look into this myself. Let me ask wise people. It's like, oh, no, forget about that. When it gets to the time, I'm just going to have this, let's call it, godlike figure is going to tell me how it goes, right? And that's exactly what we've experienced over the last 4 years, isn't it? Right? It's like, oh, please tell me what I need to do to be safe, right? Rather than actually let me look into this because I can smell a rat,
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're separated from our intuition. We're in our ego, our structure of thought that it makes us feel that we are important. That just the thought structure. This means that means this, and we don't have this connection. I always say, intelligence without wisdom is really dangerous. To bring the two together. You can ask questions, ladies. You can ask. Did you know maternity care is only 8% evidence-based? That's not good enough. So when you're being told you must have a C-section, you must be induced, what evidence is that based on? And then go down to another level, look at the actual evidence, read the studies, because if we're trying to understand physiological birth, but we're doing so by observing women in a hospital environment, how's that conducive to a physiological birth?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I think women don't understand their bodies because they don't learn about pregnancy until they become pregnant. And then often it's very, very, very much too late because they feel bombarded with information or scared. So they just hand it over. I mean, it's a perfect paradigm, isn't it? If you're a sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll just do what we want. But there is such thing as obstetric rape. Women experience it all the time. Just look at vaginal exams. Women have actually grown to believe that it's acceptable for a stranger to put their hands inside of you during labour. Why? Why? Your cervix isn't a crystal ball. It's not going to tell the midwife where you are you're going to be in 6 hours or even 10 minutes. It can introduce infection. It can make you feel wildly uncomfortable. It can release adrenaline, which will then stop your production of oxytocin, which facilitates your birth. Our bodies work beautifully. If we were, alive thousands of years ago and we're hunter-gatherers and we're about to go into labour, but we see a predator on the terrain, your eyes see it, and there's a process in the body that goes, that thing is going to eat you. Don't go into labour, release adrenaline. And that's going to help you fight, lie, or freeze. So you stop producing oxytocin, the very hormone you need to facilitate your birth. So what's the modern day equivalent of that? What stimulates adrenaline? Bright lights, feelings of being observed, beeping machines, hearing other women give birth, strangers putting their fingers inside of you. It's not conducive to a physiological birth. If you were having sex and you're releasing oxytocin as you do in sex, and you're in the most beautiful embrace with your partner, and then some moron smashes open the door, turns the lights on, stares at you and says, "You're right. I'm just going to put this monitor on you." Do you think you'd be able to get back into that mindset again? Hell no. And then they have this awful phrase called failure to progress. Well, yeah. Your privacy's been invaded. It's a very personal moment.